Hello, everyone, and welcome to TekFlow for Government and Public Facilities, brought to you by Zentek Consultants. TekFlow is a recurring video cast where we focus on publicly accessible venues, right? And we talk about the best technology practices and procedures that we have been implementing for our clients here at Zentek. Whether it's schools, airports, municipal buildings, hospitals, restaurants, any public space that you deal with, we're going to talk to you guys about better ways to manage and control those using simple technologies you probably already own. And I am Jim Coppinger. I'm a principal here at Zentek Consultants. And today I'm going to talk about a concept that I call bottom to top and top to bottom data access. So a huge part of what we're talking about here in this TekFlow VCast is all about getting the data that people need into their hands as quickly and as easily as possible, whether it's the public or is internal, within a particular government body or organization or within a particular corporate office. It doesn't matter, right? It's about getting people to the information in the most friendly user interface we can come up with. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is the limitation of kind of the traditional unidirectional flow of data. What do I mean by that? So, you guys are, this is a little programming chart here, but it gives you the general idea if you think about it in terms of how do people access your information now, right? They start at a location and then they go to a folder, then they go to a subfolder, and then the subfolder, they have to, current is revised, right? And they just kind of work their way in this linear progression till they finally get down to the information that they're looking for. It's just, a one directional move from A to B to C to D to E and call it a day. And that's worked for many decades now. But the thing is, when you're dealing with complex facilities, when you're dealing with presenting those to the public and marketing venues, and you want to show 3D models and you want to be able to steer people to different locations and get them the information that they need exactly when they need it, right? Particularly important in terms of, safety and security and things along those lines. You really need to get a much more different approach integrated into all of your systems. Public work structures, it requires an interconnected flow of data. A one-directional flow is too time-consuming, too difficult to set up, and it takes too much time to train people on where to go and how to get there. What we're talking about is this interconnected flow, where we can start at any file level. I can start at file A and go to D, or I can go from D to B, and I can go from B to E and E back to A and A back to B. Right? I can move in any direction. Think of yourself as a queen on a chessboard. You get to go any direction versus a pawn who is moving forward one square at a time in one direction. Right? That's kind of the limit that we're talking about here. That's really the concern. So how do we do that? How do we begin to accomplish this type of structure? And one of the things we've talked about in previous sessions is this concept of dashboarding. And instead of using traditional folder structures, generating using standard PDF files, right? Beautiful interconnections, hyperlinked, cross-linked data control sets so that people don't have to learn the linear progression. They can just click on the data that they need when they need it and go right to where they need to go. So I'm going to go back, and we've used this kind of example before, but just to give you the idea what I'm talking about. So if we start with a top level structure, right? We've talked in previous sessions that I can go in here and I can click on any button, any map, any image, whatever I need to take me to the proper location. Definitely a much more advanced user-friendly interface. But we want to take that data and make it accessible from the bottom to the top and from the top to the bottom. In other words, we can start up at the top level here and have a district-wide plan. But what happens when we get all the way down to an individual site or an individual, document? Well, how do we get back to those top-level documents? Because now there are secondary questions and other things we need to refer back to. That's always the struggle. And when you're dealing with this type of dashboarding structure, that problem goes away. So I kind of give you an idea, right? We can go in and say, hey, for example, a great example of this is I can go in and say, okay, you know what? I want to go into the school floor plan from this top level. So I can just go in and I can open up, go right to this floor plan, right? Click on what I have going on. I can click in and look at all this data.
We've got all the usual buttons so we can email faculty and staff and look at 3D models and camera controls and evacuation rooms, all the stuff we've talked about. But what I do want to point out to you is how very easy it is to incorporate that bidirectional flow. You see down here, it just says, hey, I have a link where I can just take people right back to that district-wide school safety plan. Not a problem, right? I can easily go back in and go back to that overall safety plan. Same thing, if I want to take one of these buttons, I'll take this bottom one here, right? And I click in, and you see that in this page, I was able to go in. I directed them not just to a folder or a file or a server location. I actually took that link directly to the exact file and the exact page number. All right, I can even break it down to the exact paragraph or image that I need people to look at through that link. But once I'm here, now I have to have the ability, right? I need to go back to the district safety plan. How do I get back to that? I want to now go look in and I have to notify someone, all right? This is about prevention and curriculum plans. I have to notify someone about a change or something that's an issue here. I can go back to the district safety plan right from there. I don't have to remember the path or figure out where that is. I can just go back here and say, oh, okay, now I need to go in and I need to go back to this particular plan, and I need to start, notifying faculty and staff about particular problems. You see, I got their emails, and I can link those and hyperlink those so that we can just, go in and click and get the email to pop up, right? All of these cross connections, all of this data linking is the key to effective and efficient control of any type of public space, right? And it's a very, very, very basic concept. I think, seeing it like this, you can see exactly how it works with the hyperlinks and the cross-linking from, the top level directory or control system all the way to the bottom one, and then all the way back up with as many steps in between as you need. It's a very easy thing to do, but it's a gateway. This is the gateway to what we really so far in this VCast just scratched the surface of, which is the power and the functionality that we can build on these dashboards, right? So I just wanted to make sure we got that in here today and make sure you guys fully understand in this series that you can take the data in any direction, all the way from the very top level to the very bottom level, and mix and match and cross-connect them all in between so that we can get that full, queen on a chessboard feel where we're actually working our way in any direction without having to train people on how to do it. It's all point and click. And that's the kind of stuff that we really want to focus on here in the TekFlow for government and public facilities. So we'll catch you in the next episode and we'll talk more about this.